Are you searching for a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world? Do you yearn for more balance, more peace, and purpose in your life? Well, look no further than the Intuitive Revolution podcast, your trusted source for holistic insights and intuitive guidance. I'm your host, Alicia Farricielli, and I am ready to take you on a journey to inner peace and balanced well-being. Welcome back to the Intuitive Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Farricielli, and today we have Rudy Daniel with us to talk to us about one of my absolute favorite subjects, mindfulness. He has an amazing app, all kinds of cool stuff that he's doing with mindfulness. So I'm super excited to get into his story, get into his journey, and then some tips for mindfulness. Welcome to the show, Rudy.
Thank you, Alicia. Happy to be here.
So tell me, what was your transformational path to self-discovery and getting into mindfulness? How did you start to discover this?
Well, in short, in my mid-20s, I reached to a point in which life seems to be so mundane, so boring, and I felt that it's becoming as a horrible drag. And through this period of time, I began asking myself some fundamental questions about who am I anyway that thinks all these thoughts, and what is this place that we call the universe, and what is life all about? Because there was nothing really left to explore back then for me, at least for my mind. And these sort of questions took me to a very long and interesting journey in which I stumbled upon a lot of different philosophies and teachings and theology, and with time, a path to mindfulness evolved throughout this journey. And this was kind of my first initiation, let's say, into mindfulness. It was the initiation of the universe.
I love it. Mindfulness is the universe, in my opinion of it.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit, what type of mindfulness practices do you find the most benefit, and why?
Great. So maybe it's a great question, and I feel that maybe we should make the ground for the terminology, because I feel it's very important. I feel that in the West, people mostly use the word meditation and word mindfulness synonymously. They kind of think they mean the same thing. So let's make the distinction first, and then I will tell you what is the best practice that I like. So meditation is an Eastern tradition, thousands of years old, that was imported from the East to the West, roughly in the past 100 years. Of course, we had knowledge about it before, but popularity-wise, let's say 100 years, and maybe even the last 20, 30 years, it gained popularity. So basically, it is a method of going back to yourself. But when you practice or you think of meditation from the point of view of the Eastern person, it is something that has a lot of cultural context and background. And it's not what we interpret in the West as meditation. Even the word itself, meditation, in English, it means to think of something, to meditate on something. But in Sanskrit or in the Hindu language, meditation is a different word. It has nothing to do with thinking or not thinking. And therefore, when we try to meditate without this great cultural context, we struggle. Even people that do 10-minute meditation find themselves in a 9-minute of those 10 minutes thinking about, is my leg itchy? Is it hot? Is it cold? Am I doing this right? Am I meditating? And eventually, after this exhausting 10 minutes, you realize that, it's too difficult. And most people give up. I call it meditation fatigue. So this is meditation, and mindfulness would be the backdrop or the background of all of these different methods to going back to yourself or looking inward. There are different names for that. But mindfulness is very easy, and therefore it is very convenient for the Western mind to understand. So if I would say what is a mindfulness practice, it is basically take anything that you like to do, like cooking, walking, playing a musical instrument, drinking water, drinking coffee, eating, and do it with 100% awareness and intensity. And maybe let me share an example that I like to share is about how to drink a cup of coffee. So for this argument, there are two ways of drinking a cup of coffee. One would be just drinking it and trying to wake up, use the caffeine and the sugar to be more productive or something like that, or maybe for the taste. But the mindful way of drinking a cup of coffee would be absolutely an absolute awareness of the moment. And if you break it down to steps, we can say that you hold the cup, and when you hold the cup, you feel the sensation of the heat tingling your hands or playing with your skin, and you pay attention to the sensation. Although it is familiar, you have never intensified the intention within yourself, and you didn't pay enough attention to what it is truly. And after you feel the sensation, then you can smell the aroma of the coffee and let it play with your senses and really try to break down how you perceive it. How does it make you feel? Be very in the moment. After you have smelled the coffee, then you can take a small sip and feel the texture of the coffee on your lips and on your tongue. And then when you swallow it, you follow the motion of the coffee throughout your body. And this is mindfulness. What it is basically is taking anything that you like to do and just be there with absolutely and total presence, with absolute and total presence. And the premise of that is when you do that, with time, there is a phenomena that I like to call a crack in reality. There's a sort of crack in reality that opens up, and you can see that life is much more profound than you have previously conceived it to be or thought that it could be. And it opens the door of perception to a whole new different game. Now, what's so cool about it is that instead of some sort of dogma or belief or something that needs to be passed down generations and read from holy books and stuff like that, it is purely experimental. You can do it now. You can do it after this call. And you can practice it and see for yourself. So there is no need for anything really. You just do something very intensely with full awareness. And it's like, pointing at the moon. Don't look at the finger, look at the moon. So my personal favorite mindfulness practice is playing the guitar because I'm a hobby musician, you might say, and I play for my own enjoyment and sometimes with my friends. But when I play, I'm totally in the moment. I'm aware of the situation and I'm immersed in the playing. And so my hands and my soul produce novel kind of music, and I'm not thinking about the next note as I would do with my analytical mind. So this is in short mindfulness, and this is my favorite thing to do. Hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for all those tips. I love that what you do with your coffee. Actually, do that. I try to remember. Mindfulness to me is like trying to remember to do it with my breakfast in the morning. My eggs that I have, I make eggs and vegetables, and so tasting like all the textures and the flavors and almost practicing. It's almost like it makes you kind of grateful for what you have when you're able to, because we take for granted just a cup of coffee in the morning. But if we actually sit and savor it and notice all the flavors and notice the textures and how it warms your body, makes you feel, it's almost a practice of gratitude for that particular thing. And it keeps us, I think, staying present in the moment is really, really helpful for developing a grateful heart.
Absolutely. I think that gratitude is the result of this section. When you are so involved, the gratitude comes naturally. And yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And I love mindfulness it brings back so much the creative juices and creative passions that we have. And we're able to do so much more when we're not blocking out that creativity. So if we sit and we're mindful about, you think about artists when they're painting something and how, if they're doing, still life, they're trying to grasp every little angle and every little texture, every little thing with the object to put it onto canvas. And so it's almost like we can do that with our entire lives, just noticing things and being in the
I love
present.
it.
Yeah,
Love the metaphor.
awesome. So tell us a little bit about the app that you have that helps people with mindfulness. or tell us a lot about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me share. It's a project that me and my co-founder Roy were very excited about it. We launched it a few months back, and it's called Affermate. It's the Affermate app, and the premise of the app is very similar to how I describe mindfulness. We basically take this philosophy of doing things that are fun, interactive. They don't feel like a chore. It's something you want to do rather than you feel like you have to do it for your well-being. And so it's a very special app in which you can perform things like a short 90-second meditation practice, which involves visuals and sounds. And just to give you the high-level idea, you take an object that you cherish, like a ring, for example, that means something to you, or a necklace, or a crystal, could be anything. And then you choose a category of a positive affirmation, let's say gratitude, because we talked about gratitude. And then you place your object on the phone, and there is a 90-second visual and auditory experience, which takes the words of the affirmation that you hear and transform them into sound and light vibrations that are encoded into your item. And what happens is when the practice is over, usually when we practice mindfulness, we feel it in the moment, but after an hour or two, we kind of forget about it because we're busy going about our day. But your item becomes a tangible reminder of your intention. So during the day, you accidentally look at your hand and you see the ring and you say, I had this intention of gratitude in the morning. So it grounds you. So this is the kind of practices we have in Affermate. And actually, there's a practice that I would love to demonstrate for 1 minute. It's called sound bath. And what it does is we take the sound bath, sound healing experience, which involves ancient and modern instruments, from Tibetan bowls, gongs, strings, percussion, binaural beats, frequencies, and we let people combine them just by tapping the instruments and create their own music. So the music could be for meditation, for sleep, for relaxation, for sound healing. You can do it alone, you can do it with friends, and it's really the gift of music. So maybe I'll just play for your audience for 1 minute. I will combine
Yes,
some
do that.
instruments
Let's
and
do it.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I will just open up the app and we'll start with some bowls and I'll take it from, you just let me know if you can hear it well.
Okay.
Can you hear
Yeah.
it? Okay. So I'll start the combination now. All right.
I love it.
So thank you. So that's the sound bath experience, and I really just combined a few instruments, some bowls, and a hung drum, and some crows. You heard the crows
Yeah.
in the background. So you can add nature elements like fire, rain, and really really cool stuff. So if you want to try out a cool gift of music for yourself, yeah, it's a new update we just released, and it's available on the App Stores.
Also, I see kids
Yeah,
loving it too.
that's Affermate first.
Yeah, I see kids loving this. Parents being like, "Here, give it play with my great, great some mindfulness music." Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah,
definitely felt every time that I feel certain the beats and the sound bowls go, my head just starts to feel just relaxed, but open and exposed, I guess,
Yeah.
my third eye. Yeah. So that's amazing. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us about, for your also the listeners that are like, well, I'm trying to be mindful. I'm trying to do all these things. What are some tips they can have? Because I mean, I'm a meditation teacher as well, and I have people say, I can't meditate, I can't do all this stuff. You had mentioned before also that meditation, it may not be for everybody. So who is it not for, in your opinion? And then what are some else, other sides, your app and stuff too? What are some ways that people can start practicing mindfulness on a daily basis? Or let me go back explain this. I'm kind of how can our listeners learn to be more mindful, outside of just the coffee example?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the greatest things I feel that is behind the premise of mindfulness, that it requires absolutely no effort. You as a meditation teacher, you must hear a lot of feedback from people, from your students, that they're trying to quiet their mind, or they're trying to fight their mind. And there's a lot of trying involved, because our Western mind is very goal oriented. It's always go, go, go. It's grabbing the next thing. It's anxious about the future. It thinks about the past, and you're always constantly involved. So suddenly when you close your eyes and try to quiet your mind, I mean, good luck with that. It take you years. I know myself, when I was introduced to all these Eastern teachings, I had a great deal of interest towards meditation, and I've been practicing meditation for a lot of years. And it was a great struggle for me, a great struggle. Of course, eventually you can become someone that could practice the method of meditation, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. But I feel that for someone who has no introduction to these kind of matters, which would be most of the people in the West, for them, trying to dive into such deep waters would be very challenging. And therefore, mindfulness plays a role. And for your question, how can you be more mindful? Well, I say, of course, download the Affermate app. Um, no, I'm just kidding. Of course, it's
Do go download it.
one of the it is one of the instruments you can use. But uh, as the app itself promotes, a mindfulness practice is something that is short, fun to do, and something that you feel you can be absolutely immersed in. So for me, music is very obvious. I can immerse myself in music. For someone else, it could be a different kind of activity. I know that a lot of people use their breath, for example, for mindfulness. Um, a lot of people use vision, so they can, for example, look at a tree or look at a flower, and intensely look at the tree or intensely look at the flower, and try to um, observe all the details. So it could be really anything. It's very individual, and there is no limit to it. I mean, if you like something today and you practice mindfulness uh, because of your cooking, maybe tomorrow it will be walking, or after tomorrow it could be watching the sunset. It's very dynamic. So I say, look at the things that you like now, and you can be totally immersed in. And by that, I don't mean doom scroll your phone.
Right.
This is not mindfulness. Just find something that you really can be immersed in, and you can do it lovingly, and start from there. And from there, you will see how it will open up your sensitivity towards other things that you can do. And with time, you will not need to practice mindfulness anymore, because your life will become mindful. And this is what we call mindful living in Affermate. This is the ultimate place that you want to arrive to, in which you don't feel like mindfulness is a practice you do, but you're just living mindful.
Yeah, and you have a calm nervous system after that. Yeah. I mean, you can take the mindfulness into, I think, things like chores we don't like to do, or in your day-to-day work, to get really engrossed and, involved into your daily projects that you have going on in work, to make them even more fun, I feel like, then. your typical, you're just
Absolutely.
kind of like roboting it through. But to become a little more mindful, you start to appreciate and start to find the joy and the fun in it. Also,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
So for our listeners who are meditators on a Western side, because I'm very familiar with what you're talking about with Eastern meditation, that's primarily what I personally do, but I teach Western to begin with. What are some practices for people that want to get into the Eastern type of meditation, connecting to more of a spiritual side?
I would say research and understand the context of what you are doing. It is similar to if I would give you an instrument, a musical instrument, and I would say play, and you have no idea of how to play this instrument, and you will begin by producing horrible music. People will run away when you play the instrument. In this case, the people would be you inside your head going nuts. So my recommendation would be research, understand what it is, understand what is the cultural context, understand that all this Eastern spiritual language is basically very metaphorical. So don't take it, plain as it is, and invest in understanding what you're doing. And once you understand what you're doing, it will be much easier for you to. It will be a better starting point from where you can grow, because it is a beautiful practice, the practice of meditation. And there are different kinds of meditation practices, but you really need to understand what you're doing. So that would be my advice for someone that wants to go into meditation, research, and understand what you're doing.
So what I'm hearing is have an intent behind why you're reaching out to do that.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah. From what I'm hearing is you have to have an intent to what you're trying to, not really necessarily have to be a goal to, but intention of why you're meditating on that particular.
Yeah, that would be a great description. And I get asked a lot about the power of intent or the power of intention. And it is like, if you want to go somewhere, a map would be useful. So an intention is a sort of a marking on the map in the direction, the proximate direction of where your journey is going. So if you have the intention, it will be easier for you to get there because it's always somewhere in your mind, the place that you are going towards, the place that you are pulled towards, instead of just going to the left and to the right. Eventually you will arrive somewhere, but without intention, you don't know where you're going to arrive. So I feel that is very important.
Yeah, I'm all about the intent behind. So I'm glad you brought that up. So awesome. So let's talk for our listeners that are thinking about getting into mindfulness. What would you tell them not to do?
Don't overthink it. Just do it. It's experimental. You don't need to believe in anything. There is no spiritual background to this. There are no thought leaders that have better advice than others. You just do the simple thing that I've suggested and experiment with yourself, and you will find the path and all the answers that anyone can provide to you. Just try, just play with it. It's very, very plain, very simple.
Have fun with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
It's such a fun practice I think we take everything so seriously these days. Like we have to do everything so perfect and everything. It's like, just do it. Have fun with it. Whatever you get out of it, you get out of it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So where can our listeners find you? How can they find the app? How can they find you? If they have any questions, reach out.
Yeah, so the app is available both on the Android store and the Apple store. So you can just search for Affermate. It's a logo with a vibration within, or you can just directly go to our website at affirmate.app, and you can contact us through the app or through the contact form on the website. Me and my co-founder are answering all of the contact forms. We're so happy to get as much feedback as we can to improve and to make Affermate even better as an experience. So if you have your suggestions, or if you're happy with the app and you want to let us know, and of course, if you're happy with the app and you can review it on the app stores, we'll be super grateful. It means the world to us. And yeah, we're available. So if you want to get in touch, hello, we're here.
Contact on the apps. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So what final message would you like to leave our listeners?
So my message would be always be a student of life. Don't ever be the teacher, because if you're a teacher, you're stuck. If you're a student, you keep evolving. And when I say teacher, I don't mean like stop being an English teacher or stop being a meditation teacher. Stop being a teacher from the position that you think that you as a person understood the world. Be open to it. It is a flux. It is always changing. The nature of nature is to be transient. So just go with it. And if you take a position of a student, you are in the best place because you are not clinging to anything. You're open to change. You're open to opportunity. And you're open to see more and more layers of profoundness and beauty that the world has to offer.
Wow, that's one of the best messages I've put on the show. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. That's so meaningful, because I think the more that we study, especially us that are on a spiritual path towards helping other people, and while we're guiding and coaching other people, it's like we still have to be in the middle of we're helping other people. We still have to be, receiving in more and more guidance from other sources. And that's what life is learning. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, Rudy. Thank you so much for sharing all of this information and tips and talking to us about your app. If you haven't downloaded it, listeners, by now, you're listening to this, go download it. All his information, all the links to it will be in the show notes. So go download that and go back and rewatch this episode, because there's so many good tidbits in here that, as we kind of go back through, be mindful of the episode and go back and watch it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.